This is a blue iPhone 12 Pro. Judging solely from the external appearance, this phone shows no signs of heavy drops or bumps. Let's enter the fan's password to take a look. Click on the top section of settings. It directly prompts an important camera message. So, there is a camera-related pop-up. Click into it. It directly states unable to determine if this iPhone's camera is a genuine Apple part. That means there's a pop-up for the rear camera. Let's check the battery health next. The battery health is still at 90%, but the fan says it drains extremely quickly, so it likely needs replacement too. Now, go to Settings General about this iPhone to check. And about this iPhone, the unknown part pop-up for the camera is still present. This is a 128GB Chinese variant iPhone 12 Pro. There are two possibilities for this camera pop-up. First, a non-original camera component was replaced. Second, the camera is damaged, which triggers the pop-up. Let's open the camera app. After opening, the default is surprisingly the 2X camera, not the 1X. But if we manually switch to the 1X, the 1X can take photos normally. However, trying to switch back to the 2X fails. Here, let me teach you a method. We directly switch to slow MO or panorama mode, then click back. We find that the 2X really cannot be switched to, but the 0.5X can be switched. This is inconsistent with the fan's description. So why can't the 2X be switched? And why does it open defaulted to 2X? What is the problem here? I want to continue sharing knowledge with everyone and identify where the problem lies. I hope you'll double tap the screen and give me a like. First, let's block the top first camera. Now it shows 1X, meaning we block the 1X camera. We close the camera app from the background, then reopen the camera app so it defaults to 2X. But our finger is still on the 1X camera. This shows that the default 2X upon opening is not the 2X optical camera, but a digital zoom from the 1X camera. For the remaining two cameras, we directly block the side one. The side one is the 0.5X, so the bottom one must be the 2X camera. Did you learn how to distinguish them? So, what the fan described as the 0.5X issue is actually not the 0.5X, but rather the 2X camera is damaged. So, for this kind of 2X camera damage, should we replace it directly or repair it? And after replacement or repair, how can we remove the pop-up message? Let me ask you a question. What phone do you have? And what phone problems have you encountered? We heat the phone screen, then use a screen opener tool to lift a gap between the screen and the frame. Then, using a plastic opening pick, slide it around the edges of the screen to separate the screen from the frame. Open the screen. We can confirm this phone has not been disassembled or repaired before. This is the first time it's being opened, but due to prolonged use, the adhesive seal has degraded. And there's a lot of dust inside. First, we disconnect the battery, then disconnect the display, touch, and earpiece flex cables. Now we can remove the screen. Let's examine the screen. Okay, it's original and hasn't been repaired. Here's the logic board and the rear camera assembly. Here, the rear camera connects to the logic board via two flex cables. First, let's disconnect these two flex cables. There are clearly three cameras, so why are there only two flex cables? Let's continue investigating. Remove the securing bracket. Remove the rear camera assembly. Look, the 12 Pro has three cameras. The top is the 1X, the bottom is the 2X, and the side is the 0.5X. Let's protect it for now. Notice, even though there are three cameras, there are only two flex cables. This is because the 0.5X and 1X share one flex cable. They are soldered together on one assembly. The 2X has its own separate flex cable. If any of the cameras are damaged, they can be replaced individually. Since the 2X has the issue, we take out a known good 2X camera. First, connect the replacement 2X, then connect the original 0.5X and 1X assembly. Then power on to test if the function is restored. After booting, enter the password. Check the pop-up. There's still the unknown part pop-up. Now let's test the camera. We find the 2X still cannot be switched to. Strange, we already replaced the 2X camera. Why still can't it open? So, having ruled out damage to the rear 2X camera itself, it's likely a motherboard issue causing the 2X to not work. Remove the rear camera assembly. We test the connector for the 2X camera's flex cable, measuring each pin. After measuring, one power line is open circuit, no connection. This power line goes from the lower board to the upper board. This open circuit could be due to a problem between the upper and lower boards, or a power supply issue on the lower board itself. So we need to remove the logic board from the frame and separate its layers to check where the problem lies. Disconnect all flex cables, then the logic board can be removed. We observe the board has slight bending, indicating the phone was indeed heavily dropped. Before separating the layers, we need to remove all the foam and shielding stickers. Then place the board on the heating plate, heat it to separate the upper and lower layers. Once the solder between the layers melts, we can separate them. After separation, let's examine the solder balls on both halves. While there are no completely missing balls, we can see minor oxidation on some points. This is caused by the board flexing during the drop. Let's check the schematic. The line we measured earlier goes to this chip on the lower board. This power supply chip connects through an inductor, then 3 capacitors, then to the lower board, then up to the upper board and its connector. First, let's check the lower board. Is this inductor open? We probe this inductor to see if it's loose. Because the foam was heavily dropped, it might have become loose. We find this inductor is very secure. This suggests the nearby chip is also probably not desoldered. Next, we measure around the camera power chip on the upper board. Everything seems normal. That leaves only one possibility. The solder balls connecting the upper and lower layers are oxidized or poorly connected, causing unstable power. We reflow the solder on the upper board's pads, making them flat and clean. Then clean the upper board's pads. Next, process the lower board, apply flux to the lower board's pads, then drag solder to make the pads flat and even. Then clean the lower board. Apply solder paste to the lower board's pads. Place the stencil. Apply solder paste. Remove excess. Clean it, then remove the stencil. Heat with hot air to melt each solder ball into a perfect sphere. If any balls are missing, we can add them individually. Finally, we inspect all the balls. They should be plump and even. That's okay. Now we can align and join the upper and lower layers. Place the lower board on the heating plate. Apply flux. Apply thermal paste on the CPU of the upper board. Then carefully align and join the upper and lower layers. After joining, let the board cool down. After rejoining, we measure the previously problematic line again. Okay. We reassemble the board and camera to test if the camera function is restored. We only connect the rear camera, power flex, and screen. Power on, enter the password. We see the camera pop-up message is still there. Check if Wi-Fi and baseband are working normally. If yes, it means the board rejoin was successful. No Wi-Fi antenna connected, so it can't find networks. Open the camera app again. Test if the 2X is restored. Strange, the 2X still cannot be switched. What is the problem? Was all the previous work for nothing? There seems to be only one possibility left. This is truly the first time encountering this. Due to time constraints, we will continue in the next video.